Metabolic bone disease and you. So metabolic bone disease, otherwise known as MBD, is a condition that can affect reptiles and can lead to extreme hardships and death in the affected animal. It can be very mild or it can be very scary depending on how soon you catch it. But first you have to know what it is. MBD is caused when there's an imbalance in calcium or phosphorus and vitamin D in the reptile's body. As far as we know, it's currently not genetically passed on. However, bad bleeding will likely lead to babies and juveniles with MBD. It is extremely important, especially with leopard geckos and similar geckos, that they start getting calcium and D3 from their first feedings. They might not show signs right away of MBD, but that's because MBD starts before the physical signs. So the reason why bad breeding can lead to MBD isn't because of the genetics, it's because the breeder doesn't understand how to properly take care of the animals, and they're probably just doing it for the money. When the animal does not have enough calcium in its diet, MBD starts because their body will start to eat away at the calcium in their bones. This is what happened to Mandolore. Now, in my opinion, the breeder didn't supplement her enough when she was a baby, because she was shipped to the pet shop with no signs other than being smaller, but the pet shop realized there's something possibly wrong with this gecko because it's smaller than all the other babies. There might be a bigger problem at hand. So they held her back for 2 months, and they realized in the beginning of those 2 months that she was showing signs of MBD. So they gave her their 100% that they could for like a baby in a pet shop, and they made sure to supplement all her food from there on with calcium because they were already doing that, but they made extra sure that she had the proper amount of calcium. And unfortunately, MBD started affecting her front legs. She can still use them, and trust me, she's very fast when she wants to be. When she gets around, she can climb up, she can climb down, she can run, but it's still harder for her to do that. And it's a really good thing that the pet shop realized something was wrong with this baby, and they intervened just in time, because this baby's that small. If they hadn't intervened, she'd either be extremely crippled right now or dead. I aim to make sure that Mando has a long and healthy life, and I'm going to give her a good diet containing lots of calcium and lots of vitamins. Now, the most important thing with reptiles in general is you need to dust their insects. The only thing you don't really have to dust is calci worms, and that's because phoenix worms / black soldier fly larvae are the same thing. That's because the insects contain high levels of phosphorus, and phosphorus will lower their calcium, so if you don't dust them with calcium and vitamins, you're just taking away their calcium and vitamins every time you feed them. Now, MBD can be caused when a reptile goes on a very long hunger strike if they did not have enough nutrition prior to this. Some reptiles go into brumation in the winter, and they won't eat as much, so it's important to make sure that your reptiles are healthy prior to brumation. It's extremely important that you as the owner take this precaution, because the reptile can't tell you I'm low in calcium. You have to keep track of what you're feeding it, you have to keep track of how often you're supplementing it, and you should be supplementing with every single feeding. But it's just extremely important. Now, I'm more of a gecko person. I don't know as much about the other species of reptiles, but it's the same with all reptiles. They need their dusting. Even snakes need dustings and stuff. The most important tip I have for you guys is when you decide to purchase a leopard gecko, it's extremely important that you first educate yourself on MBD, and you should be doing more than watching this video, because MBD affects a lot of reptiles in the hobby. You need to make sure that you are educated on their diets. For example, you cannot feed a leopard gecko gel diets. They will not eat it. You shouldn't feed leopard geckos already dead insects because they're lacking the moisture. The ones that are moist, I've never seen a leopard gecko willingly eat that stuff. I've tried a couple times just to see, because when I first purchased Tatooine, I also purchased some of those because I forget what it was. It was hard to find mealworms at one point because a lot of them were sold out during COVID, so I tried one of those and then I just gave up and I just went to a different pet shop and bought from there. It was from PetSmart. I normally don't buy from PetSmart, but I was like, well, I need to get my mealworms somewhere. It's important that you understand and educate yourself on diseases that they can carry. You know, the number one thing you do not want your gecko to get, and it will result in that gecko probably dying at some point way too early, and it can be passed on because it's extremely contagious to any other reptiles you own, is crypto. You do not want them to get crypto. I can't say the full name because I have pronunciation issues, but I will type it up for you guys so you can see it. It is also known as sticktail disease. It's when leopard gecko basically just looks like a little tiny rat kind of thing. It's really sad and it's a very painful death for them. They just can't absorb enough vitamins and nutrients in their diet, so they stay small and stickly forever. Other things that can affect them is they can sometimes carry mites. I've never seen this in person, but I've also never really go to bad places to get animals. So, thankfully, all the breeders near me and stuff take good care of their animals. I'm sure there's some that I just don't know about that suck. I'm not going to say which store does it, but there is a store somewhere here in Canada, and they sell Enigma geckos still. So if you don't know anything about geckos, avoid Enigma most at the very least. They're like the spider ball pythons of the leopard gecko community. You also need to make sure that you maintain proper husbandry. You need to know what their humidity requirements are, which is barely, not really any, but they do need a humid hide. They need dry, they need hot, they need cold. You need to make sure you understand every single thing about your gecko. You need to know, what do I do if they're stuck shed, because I would say at least once in every leopard gecko's life, there's probably going to be a time where they're stuck shed. It's probably when you first purchase them, if you purchase them from a pet shop. So you need to make sure that they get that shed off themselves, or you know how to take it off for them. And oh, pardon me. I needed to drink some water, but I don't have any water nearby me, so I'm just gonna get up in a second. But you also need to know, do they need UVB or not? You should be doing that research on your own. My personal belief is they don't need UVB, but UVB definitely aids if you want to get it. If you are using UVB with leopard geckos, you do need to make sure that you do not use vitamin D3, like in their calcium, because then they can get too much of that and they can go through their own calcium too quickly or something like that. But I personally don't use it because I use D3 supplemented calcium and stuff, and my geckos seem perfectly fine. And in fact, Tatooine doesn't mind light at all. Tatooine will still come out, chill in the light, but I noticed Mandolore, she doesn't like the light as much. But anyways, I hope you enjoy this video, and I'll be doing another video talking about feeder insects that you can use for leopard geckos, and which ones I found that my leopard geckos particularly like, ones that you should avoid with juveniles, ones that are great for juveniles and smaller babies. And I'll also be doing a video on supplementation, like schedules, and how you should be doing that. I'm not an expert though. I'm just gonna preface and say that I'm not an expert. I'm still relatively new to the hobby. I just did a lot of research before getting my first gecko, so I just happen to know a lot of stuff. I'll be doing another video on what your tank should be like for your leopard gecko. And if you guys want, I can do a video on substrates too, because I've used enough substrates and I know enough substrates that I can talk about that pretty endlessly. So if you like this video, leave a like, comment down below, and hit the subscribe button, because I will be definitely posting more and more videos. I'm gonna aim to do a video every week. It might not be every week. I got a new job now, so it's a lot easier to be able to sit down and film stuff, because I'm not coming home at like 1 p.m. and then sleeping, or being just dead from working the night shift. It's really nice to not have to work the night shift. Well, yeah. I'm also going to say, No, I'll save that for another video. Yeah. Anyway, see you guys. Have a good day.